Okay, I think it's a good time to start. We are at 12:04, and then we've got a number of people on here. We got a decent group here. What we're here to talk about is the Utility Content Hub. So the Utility Content Hub has been revised, has been updated, and what we're going to be talking about is what's new and methods of use. So there's a number of things I'm going to go through. This webinar is going to be about 40 minutes long, and there's always a Q&A at the end, question and answers at the end. And of course, it's being recorded. It would be on the Spatial Business Systems YouTube website. And Jack Hobson here, he said to me he wants more people to subscribe to our YouTube website. So if you haven't subscribed, make Jack feel happy and subscribe. It's Steve Kaufman talking. I'm technical consultant at spatialbiz.com at Spatial Business Systems. And our support website, of course, is here. So our topics today, I'm going to turn the page. Our topics today are going to be, we're going to explore the utility content site. We're going to just look at different search methods. Then we're going to download and manipulate some models. We'll configure some models and view those drawings and look at those models as well. We're going to talk about vendors, service providers, and future add-in app. That's going to be at the end. And then at the very end will be a question and answers. So that's what we're going to start with today. And the first thing I'm going to do is go into my web browser, and I'll come into utility content. You can see it's just utilitycontent.com, very simple website to log in. You can see the window here. We need to sign in. And once you sign in, you're able to download and work with the software. If you have a SBS login, you can log in using your SBS. It's free if you have the login, and you can log in here, and we can log in. So right away, I come into my dashboard. My dashboard's a little more advanced because I'm an administrator, and I can do a number of more things, and we'll talk about that towards the end. But first, I want to go to the home menu, and I'm going to step through this menu up top just to see what we all have in here. And when we come to the home menu, we're going to see the newest content, whatever was recently added. So we have some content of some static parts in here. What we also have is the most popular downloads that are being found. So it's a nice little first page here that you can take a look at and see what is happening, what's new. You can also do a search in here as well and see what is available. If we go into the browse window, this is where we can actually do some good search tools. So if I came up in here and searched for insulator, I'm going to find anything that has insulator in its name. If I put quotes in it, I restrict what I'm able to view. And I can restrict it further. If I went to quotes, TR quotes, I'm going to find all the TR station post insulators. So it's a nice search tool, and it gives you 21 views available. If there's more, you'll have load more. So one of the things we do with the load more is by having this, it allows our website to act a little bit faster than than trying to load hundreds of files. What we also can do, we can look at anything that is a CEFCOR part, and you can look at the entire CEFCOR catalog. CEFCOR is one of our largest supplier of items in here, components. So it just goes on and on with CEFCOR parts. If we wanted to go further with that and we knew our catalog numbers, we could go ASTI and look up an item that way. And remember, this is being recorded and it will be on our YouTube site. So I can see all my ASTI CEFCOR items, and there's even 20 more here. I can filter it further. I'm going to put quotes around this and maybe you want anything ASTI size of 62. This is the way I like to use it. So I can come in through here and see all my sizes at 62 of ASTI. Once we have these, then we're able to, I'm just going to look at my list, I'm sorry. Choose two filters. Okay, so download. So let's look at downloading some of these items. If I come in here and search for GH, so I have these dampers. So I could search for GHJK or I could search for damper, and I'm going to get up items in here. Once I get into that, I can look at, well, maybe I want this one to download, and I can read what the information is related to this item. You can see it's a vibration damper. It has SDS intelligence in it, and it's based on a Ceph Core model. So we have that model available, and I can download that. But before I download, I can see what available items we have. We have the IPT, a native inventor part. We have a step part, which is a general 3D common file. And we have the DWG 3D item component that we can use in the future AUD substation tool that will be being released soon. So we have these choices available. I can add that to downloads. And if I come back to browse, you can see my downloads up here at the top. It has a number 1. So I've added something to the download. I can come back up here and browse, and maybe I want that ASTI item. And I can look at that one as well, or I can download it directly. So now I have 2 downloads in my downloads. All right, so now I'm adding more and more download items in here. So it's trying to work it out like a shopping cart type of idea, and add some security to how we download and access our files. So once we get to download, we can go into our generate secure downloads, and then we can come into our actual downloads. And here you can see the different file types that we can download. So if you download the IPT file, typically if it has SDS intelligence on it, it will have that SDS intelligence. If you come in the step file, we have to import it. And if you come into the DWG file, that's the 3D DWG. So let's look at a couple parts here. And you can download the step file, IPT and DWG. So if I come into Inventor, and I come up into Open, and I might have downloaded the damper here. And this damper here has the SDS intelligence in it. So when you download this one as an IPT, it has both of the pieces of intelligence we need to work with Substation Design Suite. If I came in, I wanted to bring in the step file, the best method, the best practice method would be to grab your template, create it, and then you would import the step file. I can import the step file here. Typically, you want it individual pieces, and that way you can turn off and on different images in your step, and I can bring that in. So the difference when you bring it in as a step file, you won't get your iProperties that you want. But if it's a native IPT file, and I look at my iProperties, you can see I get the iProperties I want. So I have most of the iProperties ready to go. You may want to change these iProperties for your own purposes, but at least you have something in here right away. So being able to download the IPT directly, you'll get the intelligence if it's available, and some iProperties. Bringing in as a step file is available. You may not get the iProperties. You can always review where you got your step file. I can come in here and edit my third party. And with that, I'll get a little page saying what this item was downloaded from. All right, so you can always view that in here. Further, if you have the 3D DWG, if I come into my AutoCAD, I can open up the 3D DWG that was brought in as well. So I would have that available as well, and that could be used in the AUD substation. So we have a different ways of bringing items in. Once you bring in an item into Inventor, it's not that it's static and you can't change it. So right here, I could change and turn off the visibility of a solid. So if I suppress that feature, that nut is gone. All right, so we can do simple things like that. But what I did, I downloaded the voltage transformer. I'm going to open up the voltage transformer, and I'm going to take a look at it. This is what comes as downloaded directly as the size it is. You can see what it looks like. And we've got a number of things. We've got the ground lug, we have the slots, and we have the transformer itself. What we can also do is come in here and go open, and I can actually manipulate this part so it looks rather different. I don't know why it's sitting up high. So if I come up to view, let's go a vertical view. You can see the changes I made. I made the grounding plate larger, and I made it holes instead of slots down here. And that's just using normal Inventor tools. I just came in here, made different extrusions. I made a ground pad extrusion. I made a slot fill. I filled in the slots, and then I added holes. So you can take these parts and manipulate them after you get them. So it's not that you're locked in and say, oh, well, I don't want that because it doesn't have the right mounting plate on it. I can change that mounting plate as I need. If I come in, and let's say I've downloaded the step file for a, let's see, let's say I came down here and I can come in here and I can download, let's say, an elbow. I have a bus connector elbow. I can build my own in the configurator. And once I have this available, I can do a number of things with this elbow. I've done a couple of things here differently than what I've done in the past. We're showing their standard dimensions, but we can override those standard dimensions. So if I wanted a 3-inch elbow, maybe you want it schedule 80, I can actually change the standard dimensions. I can come in here and change this. The standard dimension is 2.8. If I change it to 2, I can start manipulating this. It's 5.6. Maybe I want this to be 6. So I can start manipulating what this is going to look like. If I can make it 12 if I wanted to. So you can kind of play with it, but I can always return to the standard size of what it would be as a catalog item. I can go further with this if I change this number to a very small number. I can have it look more like a butt weld elbow as well. So there's a number of things we're doing here, but if you notice at the top, it says download PDF for reference dimensions. Well, if I come into the downloads at the output page, I have a number of downloads here, and I can download the PDF drawing. Once I download that PDF drawing, I can open it up. And what this is going to show us is that what are these dimensions we're playing with. It's giving us an idea of what our object looks like. It's also telling you, because you can only download it as a step from the configuration tool, it's going to tell us the where we could put some SDS intelligence we can add to the part. So here I'm saying the bus point can be located here. Work axis for the bus axis is along here. We have the dimensions, we have the offset, all related to what our inputs are in the configurator. If I page down from this, I also have it set up, if we download it for the AUD substation, that 3D AutoCAD model, I have information in here. It's very, very similar. But what I'm pointing out here is where the AUD ports would be located. So once we have the AUD substation available, you'll be able to have this information in here. So we can have a 2-page PDF of what can happen when we bring these items in. What I want to do is get into next, is I'm going to take a look at the static models again. I'm going to go back to the static models. I'm going to go back to configurators. I'll go back to the static models. Oh no, I'm sorry, configurators. I want to just take a look at the generic pillar. So this is what we can do to modify it. And I'm bringing this one in just as an example. So I can come in here and build my own. And I have a little foundation here. It's a simple foundation. And you can see what we have in our window. We got cubic yards, 3.6, cubic meters, 2.7. So if I change the numbers in here, it's going to change our numbers down here. So we have that input. So you know how many cubic yards that are in here. Then I can come in here and I can download the step. All right, so I'm going to download the step. But what I'm going to do different here is I'm going to come into my inventor and I'm going to open up my template because I don't want a pillar, I want a T-pillar. So I'm going to look at my foundation T-pillar. I'm going to create that. And this is for an example, right? We're just looking at this as an example. And there's a little platform or a little box at the bottom. And if you look at this item, you can see that we have the XY plane on top. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to import that step file directly into this file. So it's already prepared for a change. And I can come in here. I can come in import. And I'm going to come in and bring in my foundation. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my download, my download pillar directly in. Again, I'm going to take an individual. I'm going to take the defaults mostly. We always want the solids. And there's my download model. So now, well, that's not quite what we want, but the thing is, our template is configured to be able to fit this. So I can take a measurement from the XY plane, because it's the top, to the bottom. It's 120 inches. Come into my functions, and I'm going to change my T depth to 120. So now I'm modifying this after it's finished, after I bring in my step file. And I'm showing it as a foundation pillar just as an example. This doesn't change if you want to bring in a different configured item and you're importing that step file. It's up to you guys in your imagination on what you can use this type of method for, on what you can bring in. And in this case, I have the pillar, I have the foundation. I can change the appearance of the pillar, but more importantly, I can still come up with an iLogic for my cubic yards. I can still run that, and I'll have an accurate cubic yards, including the T at the bottom. So you can also, your iLogic can be in that template. So the key thing here is I'm bringing in a template that is prepared. I'm bringing in a template, not only my base template, like I did earlier, I'm actually bringing in a template that is prepared for that purpose. And I can bring that item in. Now I'm manipulating that static part again. So what I really want to talk about, when we talk about static parts, we're bringing in these step files. We can still change them after we get them to manipulate them for what we want. I showed you with the foundation. I sort of showed you with the foundation there, and I showed you with the voltage transformer as well, that we can change this as it comes in. When we look at other items, let's take a look at the other configurable items. I'll come back up to my SBS. What I want to look at next is a couple items down here at the bottom. We have the center brake V-mount item from Southern States. So Southern States started supplying us with some items some time ago. And they're supplying more and more items in here. So I can modify what my Southern States item is. Once it updates, I can then download different versions of it. All right, so here's our different sizing version. You can see the amount of detail in here. It's a good amount of detail, but it's not terribly complex. The nuts are fairly simplified. They're not really a lot of chamfers or anything on them, so it's not too heavy of a model. I come into the pull downs. I can bring it down as a step, a 3D DWG, and a PDF drawing. The JPEG, by the way, anytime we see the JPEG, it's going to give you the screenshot of what is on screen now. So if I come in here and zoom here, I can take a JPEG. It's going to download that JPEG, and I can take a look at what that JPEG, and I'm taking a screenshot of just that area. So it's kind of nice that way. If I take in the DWG PDF, the drawing PDF of this item, this is again the sizing page for this switch. So we're able to look at that as well. So we look at the sizing page that it was supplied to us with Southern States, so they give us their catalog page, and you can see the information that we need here for reference. So we have that as well. So it's really nice to be able to bring in the drawings. I think that's a real highlight that we've changed with the software than what we've had in the past. There's more tools for us that way. Then come back into the top page. If anywhere I see a icon, if it's CEFCOR, Southern States, HOMAC, wherever it is, I'm going to have a tool that I'm going to see information on that item or on that company, I should say. So even if we go in the configure, the browse, and we look at a CEFCOR item, I'm going to filter this by CEFCOR. And I hit CEFCOR. I'm going to get that as well. I'm going to have all of the CEFCOR static parts available. It's going to list. I can browse all of CEFCOR. I have information on CEFCOR, but I can also contact the partner. If I contact the partner, I'm going to have an email to CEFCOR. So if we have an issue with a file, you can email CEFCOR and say, well, we have a minor issue with this. Is this an issue, or do we need correction? Or you could even say, hi, CEFCOR, I'm looking for this part. Do you have a model of this? And in working with CEFCOR, I found that they often have a model, but it's a special model, so they don't want to put it into the main one in here because it's a special design, but they will be able to give it to you as well. But most of their library parts or their catalog parts are in our website here. The other item I want to bring up is if we come back into configure, what we're starting to do is putting more complex configured items in here. Kelby has added a number of items here. We have a power transformer, a dead tank circuit breaker, and a cabinet circuit breaker. So we can come into any one of these and build our own. So we have a number of inputs in here. And if you come into the downloads, again, we can download as a step, 3D DWG, and a drawing PDF. We can also bring in an inventor drawing as well. So if we look at the 3D PDF of this one, it's going to give us some information related to our inputs. So I can see, well, here's some of my inputs that I want to modify in my inputs. I can look at that, and I can come back here, and I can come in and change that input that I want to change in here. All right. Then as a step file, we can bring it in. And we can, I think I brought one in. That's the DWG. So I'll have to import it again. So again, the best practice is to bring in your template file that has, it could have pre-made iProperties in here, has the orientation that you may like. We import it here. And I can bring in that dead tank step, that dead tank step file. Again, I want individual. I want to be able to maybe turn some items on and off in here, and I can bring this in. And there's our file. You can see the number of items in here that can be adjusted or turned on and off, or maybe another handle could be put on here if needed. So there's a number of things we can have. And again, this is available as a 3D PDF, 3D DWG. If I came in here, here's that dead tank in here. Right? So we have this available as well. Okay. What I want to talk about next is more into the vendor realm and in the direction we're going to go with that. So I'm going to make sure I have some time for questions afterwards. What I want to do is close what I have here. Oh, no, I want to actually go into the website. So I'm going to go back into our general website. And we're going to look at the dashboard. And here, as an admin person, I can upload content. So the idea is that if for vendors that will be able to upload content, vendors will be able to upload their own content, or service providers could show their work as well. So we have some options here that we can work with. If we come into my dashboard, you can see I can create content or create content from CAD. So the idea here is that we're able to manage, self-manage, upload, and download your own content. So if you're a vendor and you want to bring something in, so I can come in here and I can, let's go into View, User Interface. We have working with a utility content add-in inside of Inventor that once you can sign in, dashboard, here it is. I'm sorry, guys. So what I probably did is had the wrong, something wrong in my password. So I can create content from CAD. If I come in and create content from CAD, I can upload my Inventor part file. If I upload my Inventor part file, I can grab my pieces. So what I'm going to do is close this file. And I'm going to put in a file that has some information in it. I think this one had information in it as far as iProperties. So if you look up here, I have my iProperties populated in here. So if I come in and import my iProperties, it's going to import iProperties where it can. All right, so we're going to have that available so that you less typing to upload your model. You can come in here, select your brand, category. This is going to be damp, vibration, other damper. I may have comments. This is taking it from the iProperty comments section, and then I may have SDS intelligence in here. So I'll be able to upload this part directly to the static model world. So once we have it, we can come in here. If I wanted to manage my content, I can look at any of my content, come in here, and I can edit this content. I can edit the data. I can upload a new part. I can identify what tag I may want for that part. So we're able to update it as well. So we're looking for self-management of availability to this. If you want the configurable models to upload, it's a little bit different. We have it in the configuration page. It's a little bit different. What we do here is that we're running A360 behind the scenes. And if you have a configurable model, you'd upload it to A360. I don't have it on this one. Let's go into here. You'd upload to A360, and then we would link to your A360. And the A360 would be, whoever's uploading on that A360 would be their own control, complete in their own control to able to upload. So my A360 is here. So what these have is a link that we would set up. You can see there's an email link. So this link would go to our utility content staff. They'd set up that link, and once you have it up, then once we have that link, we can put it up on utility content, and then you have full control over your own parts as well. So it's a real self-managed tool. I really like it that way. Let's go back into here. So there's a couple of things I wanted to remind everybody is that once you have your parts, once you download them, you can download a number of them. We can add it to downloads. We can add another one to downloads. And create a download list. I can generate all my downloads, and then I can see my downloads. So you can have a number of parts in your downloads available. Once you download the browse items, these static features, they're not truly fully static. They can be manipulated, as what I showed with the foundation and with the foundation and with the where's my voltage transformer, changing the grounding pad and the mechanical connections. We're able to do that as well. Again, we can also come in here and you can bring it in differently as the foundation example I had earlier. The configurable models are really nice to have because they are so configurable. I can come into the configurable. We're adding more and more in here. And even with the ones that are configurable, they come down as a step file. They can be manipulated somewhat as well after they're downloaded. But we have these three large ones with many configurations in it, and that you can adjust to what you need for what your intended purchase is, that it is available. We also have let's go back into configure. We also have some vendors coming in with their configurable models. Again, there's lots of choices in here. We have the path. It's nice to see the path. It's not going to interfere with anything above. And you can turn that path off as well. So you can download it without the path. But even if you download it with the path, you can turn that part of the body off. You can turn off the visibility of that. Come back into configure. What we're looking at as well is starting to add some structures in here. This is a trial structure. I wanted to get feedback from people, if people want to use it, if people want to see it. So I tried some different ideas with this one as well. It's giving you the default base plate size, the weight in pounds of this item. So I can come up in here and change my phase spacing. And it's going to change as well. If there's a demand for this, we can certainly put more structures up. It doesn't need to be a HSS structure. If you look at this, it's HSS. It's not a shaped steel or even a pipe stand style as well. So I have some more structures identified to bring up, but they're available too. And again, these are downloadable, and there's a drawing PDF on this one. And you can see the setup for this as well. And it also shows the bill of material, and the weight is down here in the corner. So when you create this one, it's going to show the entire. It's going to update the drawing. It's going to update the drawing for the weight, the size of the plates. So there's a fair amount of information we can put in these structures as well. So depending on the feedback, if we want more structures, we can certainly do that. The other takeaway is the add-in in Inventor that will be able to bring that add-in in for those who want to self-manage for those who want to self-manage their content and upload it, we're able to do this as well. So we'll have this add-in available as well. So that's about it for my talk. I just want to make sure that takeaway, we have the static parts that can be manipulated somewhat. We have a good amount of configurable items in here as well. And we're always increasing. If you look at it, it is larger than what it has been. We're working on putting directories or folders in here so we can separate electrical equipment from mechanical equipment. And I'm going to leave it at that. So we are able to have questions and answers. Oh, I got some questions. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just trying to get this window big enough that I can see. It doesn't come up with a window until you ask for it, or until a question comes in. A lot of SDS features use iParts. Are any models in the utility content database iParts? None of them would be iParts when you bring them in. You could, I believe you could upload an iPart, but because of the way it's set up, the configuration tools would be better than the iPart type. If not, is there a way to download a catalog of parts? The only way to download right now, as we have it, if you're going to come in here, you would just start clicking download, 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 right? Continue browsing and download. And I'm just adding those items in here. Once you download them, it keeps if I come into my secure download links, I still have all my downloads as a history in here that I have access for again later. Okay, we do have a mass upload method. We have to work internally with that. If you give us those files, we'll create a spreadsheet. There's more work to be done on that to be able to push it out to others so they can mass download them themselves. But right now we have an Excel file that we'd read from. So if you have a dozen or more items, we can read from an Excel sheet and upload from that. May I get a specific number, how many 2D and 3D models available? So right now, the number of brands available, you asked how many brands are available, are those 3 brands, the Homac, Cepcor, and Homac, Cepcor, Southern States. Those are the 3 main brands. The number of 2D and how many 3D models. There's not very many 2D models. The 2D models would be for our PNC tool. So I've come and browse. I am not sure if I can hear SBS. Come into here, let's find SBS. So there's not very many 2D models, but of the 3D models available, it's really quite high. It's over 3,000, but if you look at the configurator parts and some of these configurator parts, like Kelby's circuit breaker that I showed earlier, that's almost infinite. So there's quite a number of 3D parts with the configurator. It just makes so many more. So I think there's at least 3,000 fittings on the plus side of 3,000. And with the configurator parts, it's many more. How many structures are available in the UCH? So right now, we only have the one structure. I am looking for feedback. If there's a demand, we can create more. There's questions on that. I want to create more. This is a HSS structure. I think we should have the 3 types, HSS, pipe, stands, and W-shaped type of structures. So I'd like to bring up more. But again, that structure is specific to what we're designing. There's so many options in building structures. So we see the structures more as a placeholder, maybe for a rapid prototyping type of thing when you're laying some information out before you get into a construction type of drawing world. Can we get an accurate number of 3D and 2D models separately available in UCH? Why I'd have to come up with that number, I answered, like there's more than 3,000 models, and with the configurator, there's many more. If it's really accurate and needed, contact me and I'll get back to you. You can contact me directly here, and I'll get back to you with a more accurate number if that's necessary. Oh, Paul, okay. You'd love to see more structures in the utility content database. Lattice structures would be really nice. Okay, that's good feedback. That's the type of feedback we need. How often do you upload new heavy equipment such as breakers and power transformers? Since the last time we checked, the library seems to be limited. It is growing. It is expanding. We have a couple. I think there's 5 more of these heavier items to bring in. We're just doing some checking of those items before we bring them in to make sure they're robust or not. If we can get in more vendors in here, I think it would be fabulous. It would be a really helpful for all the people in here. Again, if you come into the vendor stuff and you look at how many people are involved with Substation Design Suite Consortium Group, there's a lot in here. So I think it's a real benefit for vendors to bring stuff in, and we'd love to have that more heavy equipment brought in. Customers expect more readily available 3D models of various vendors so that they can easily download and use it. Yes, and I would love to have that. I think we would all like to have more vendors upload to here. It'd be great to have, and we can handle the bandwidth. We need a little bit more vendors in here. We are adding again all the time. We've added these 3 guys here just recently, and we'll have more added. I think this month, but I'd have to check. Okay, I think I will leave it at that. I want to thank you all for coming out. It's really nice to have the opportunity to talk to you all. Again, the recording will be on the SBS YouTube website. YouTube website, yes. It will be available on there shortly, probably within the day. So it'll be on the Spatial Business YouTube website. If you subscribe, you'll get alert when it gets uploaded.